Hello, I'm Leslie Wilcox. Welcome to a series of education clips on service automation. Today I'm going to talk about automation and the future of work, a much hyped area. I'm trying to prick the bubble a little here, which we do much more extensively in chapter 9 of our new book. Basically, when you look at the way that automation is presented, there are only two scenarios that are actually painted in a very polarized way in the media and by people who feed the media, including researchers, academics, sometimes journalists. The way that the media likes to present this is either it's going to be the greatest thing ever, automation, and it's transformative, it's going to be a tsunami, it's going to be overwhelming, it's going to be seamless, it's going to happen very, very quickly, and some proponents of that suggest that it's all going to be for the good of everyone, and I call that picture automatopia. The other picture that is presented is the other side of hype, which is fear, which I call automageddon. Here, yes, it's going to be overwhelming, it's going to be quick, but it's going to be dreadful, and the point that is made is that job loss is going to be drastic. And the interesting thing about this scenario, of course, is that it's the worst case scenario, and it tends to focus on one figure, which we could call the anchor figure for most of these studies. It's the 47% job loss potentially in the USA as arrived at by a study by Oxford University researchers back in 2014. Now, the problem with an anchor figure, of course, is that it can be quite misleading, but very difficult to move away from. What if I told you that our research shows a different anchor figure, which is potentially 12 to 14% net job loss over the next 15 years? That's a different anchor figure and creates a completely different debate. Now, unfortunately, on the job loss side, this has been very badly misrepresented, with good intentions, of course, but there are a lot of weaknesses in the studies that have been carried out here. And in the next clip, I'll talk a lot more about the 8 qualifiers to the picture that's emerging from those different studies. But nevertheless, this fear is fed by storylines and titles. I'll give you some titles which I've noticed. Some of my favorite ones are things like He Who Owns the Robots Rules the World, How the Robots Will Take Your Job and Kill the Economy, and Robots Could Displace 10 million British workers. All these are quite scarce stories, and if you read the stories more carefully and you get into the detail, you discover that even the authors of these greatly qualify these statements, which are basically to get the headline in place. So we've got to move beyond hype and fear, and most of our research suggests a much more complex and nuanced picture emerging about automation and the future of work. Yes, there are going to be real challenges. We think that the biggest challenge is going to be the transition challenge to different ways of working and different types of jobs and different ways of organising, but they are quite different challenges from the ones very often presented by the hype and fear narrative that we have seen so far.